All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Happy Singles Day. It's Mike here, and getting Valto up on the stage. Let's try to start right on time. We got a double header today. We're doing back-to-back sessions, so this will be our first session, and I'm really excited about this. We're gonna be talking about the future of e-commerce and and the internet and identity and data. Mike here, and I'm just trying to get him up onto stage. Valto, I'm going to invite you on stage if you hear me. Hopefully, you can accept my invitation. Okay, there you go. All right, great. Here we go.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Valto. There you. Great. It's perfect. Awesome. Great to finally see you and have you on the show.
Yeah, it's thanks for inviting. It's great to be on.
Yeah, so we've been connected since I don't know, like 2010, I think, with Twitter and social media, or maybe even earlier. It's been a pleasure to know you for such a long time and be associated with you. So a little bit about you, Valto Loikkanen. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct enough.
Awesome. Just making sure.
Yes.
So you're an internationally awarded serial entrepreneur with over 20 years experience global business focused on data, AI, digital ecosystem strategies with driven business models with various different roles. And you're currently co-founder and CXO at Profina. Profina is a fast-growing Silicon Valley data-driven startup empowering individuals to take control of their data and to be authority of their information. You're a visionary, strategic, hands-on professional with a deep knowledge about digital world concepts and technologies connecting in real world. So thanks. That's really impressive. Thank you again for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for the intro. Yeah, it's really good to be on and happy to share, what we have going on and about different aspects of, the internet evolution. When we connected first time, we were actually building the world's first equity crowdfunding platform globally. So that was kind of so have been pushing the envelope on the new borders of the internet, and once more we are kind of pushing one envelope to let this kind of new type of internet architecture take over, and we'll see how that will go.
Yeah, it's really I know you're always innovating and you're always making the new concepts the reality, and that's what we try to do here at the show. We try to actually give people practical insights how they can apply this. A lot of people in the community, they're e-commerce sellers, they're B2B traders, between China or Asia and the overseas markets. So, we're fully aware of these walled gardens, Amazon, Facebook, WeChat. They have all of our data. They know everything about us. And, and that's, I think a lot of people have just accepted that, right? I mean, that's just, we as the users have just accepted that we need to sign up for these platforms and give them all of our data. Is that what you're trying to change? Or is that, one of the big problems that you think we have?
Yeah, so I think that it's kind of mainly because of the convenience, how the current, I would say, platform-centric internet has come to light. So of course the big ones, Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon, Apple, so forth, the big almighty ones, and of course it's like as individuals we don't really, although we like choice, ultimately we just want the easy choice and convenient choice and choice that our friends have made and so forth. So those kind of behavior is one thing that leads to this kind of platform-centric winner-take-all type of markets when it comes to internet today. And then on the other side, of course, that's, there's never been a downside for someone, getting to the monopolistic position in business. So it's never bad for the one who is in that position, but of course it comes with different responsibilities, as we know also. But one of the big thing that it requires then from kind of how to change that is that it actually requires a lot of different stakeholders that are typically competing to start thinking differently and come together. Like I would say some early examples where when Netflix started to rise, it was already pretty clear that a platform-centric model that they're going to win, these traditional cable networks and so forth. So they started Hulu as a competing solution together. We can all debate whether that's successful or not, but at least it's an alternative. But one of the most interesting things that is associated with this dynamic between the platforms and individuals is that because mostly governments, at least in different parts of the world, are looking at citizens' rights, and it's no surprise that raising from Europe, this GDPR regulation that came into effect last year basically dictates that all those platforms, whoever they are, big or small, private or public, they need to give individual access to their own data that exists in their platform for free and without too much delay and in machine readable format. So now basically in this is the gateway that then enables new types of services to emerge where individual can really make a choice because they don't have to leave their friends and other data behind into those platforms. They can take them with them.
Got it. Yeah, so I'll just speak, I'll just reiterate just in my own, just to give an example, like, so it seems like it's a European more thing, right? GDPR, but it's of course affected the whole world. But it's a great initiative, like you just said, lets people control or access or take their data out. So literally on Facebook, I tried to export my data, but it's such a humongous file that you download your profile, you download your photos, your videos, and it processes it, and then you can download it. So then that's kind of what's opening up to this new, what you're working on, or what this new identity kind of thing. So then that's the bridge. So GDPR and people exporting their Facebook profile data or LinkedIn data, and then they could maybe upload it to a new platform. Is that like a bridge?
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the methods, and of course in different types of services you have different type of gateways. So in Facebook you also have APIs, but actually the APIs don't really cater that much of the personal side because those APIs are designed for other companies, not for the individual. But then if you look at devices like Aura Health or Fitbit or these types of personal health devices, pretty much everything is only your data. It's not, something for some other purposes. It's your data for your own use. And those then cater more like gateways to, your services. And then, of course, there are bigger and smaller depending on your kind of life activities. It can be also like public sector holds a lot of data, like your public transportation data, or what all kinds of interesting things that people don't really think about. But the main thing is that this similar regulation just this year came into effect in California, and that matters because a lot of innovation comes from California, of course. That's also where our Prefina headquarters is based. So basically, that individuals have access to their data in different interfaces, but of course, like you or me, without any help, what we can really do with that data is extremely limited. So that's where us as Prefina are focused on is we want to build a tools and solutions for individual side where the individual is in control. They can basically upload or connect their data from different sources into their own personal cloud. Wow. That is also legally like under their cloud. It's not under our. We just provide tools to standardize the data for them to use and then build like connectivity between their cloud and different services. So that's the kind of the new architecture that we're building.
Okay, that sounds so. We have some input from Zach in the chat. We'll talk about that. But so the idea is let's maybe connect it also to e-commerce, but it could be for any kind of data. So especially Amazon, they know everything you bought. They know, you have all your cookie data, your buying history. But I think I saw it on your platform. I was reading some links you sent me before the interview, and there's the idea that you could temporarily give your data to an e-commerce marketplace, and then they would be able to recommend you products to buy, and then you would take your data back, and then so it's like you willingly give your data to the platform processes that for you to help you do the good things that it does, but then you can kind of like take that access back after, right? Is that kind of like, did I get that right? Or
yeah, so basically there's many ways how to kind of achieve the wanted outcome. The main premises is basically that instead of you proactively searching for something, like of course we all know how Facebook ads try to work now. They try to target you with what they hear from your mic on your phone, what you're discussing with your friends, and then they say, okay, they are talking about that topic a lot, so let's promote some dog food for them or whatever. But basically, so we all kind of have some sense of idea of how AIs and these algorithms can work, but at the same time it makes us feel uneasy of how intrusive that may be. So one of the benefits that becomes possible when we cater this type of a service from the individual side, where we look at the world from their perspective. So we're not looking at the business perspective where customers or individuals are just some numbers on top of that, but we actually take the position of the individual, like your personal doctor would do, or your personal shopper would do, or someone who is on your side looking the world from your benefits perspective. And one of the beauties of being able to be in the position on that side is that we can also enable anonymous interaction with services and the individuals with their data without exposing their data to the platforms themselves in identifiable format. So basically, then it's possible to create something where you can actually tell, not that someone tries to spy on you and then make guesses of what you need, but actually you can proactively tell and save your preferences and other things. And then, these algorithms can actually find stuff that you really are looking for, what you're interested, and make recommendations for you, like a helper instead of ad. And basically then you can just filter, like, I'm not interested, or show me more like this and less like that, without ever exposing who you are to the services that are just trying to match you with basically these things that you would need. That's just one kind of aspect, that only when you actually want to make a transaction, you want to expose your delivery address where that should be shipped.
Okay. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, also again, some comments in the chat here. Like Zach Franklin from Seller Deals is mentioning he actually likes the idea of well, as an advertiser, he likes that the platform has the data, but he also says that he likes it as a user because it recommends you things. But you're saying you can still get that benefit by still controlling the data yourself, and you can actually be more anonymously share it, instead of they knowing exactly who you are, but they know your behavior, your browser history, or your purchase history, or your bus travel, your location history. So you would have these different profiles, right? Because there's all this data about us, right? Everything is your location history, your buying history, your web visiting history, like all this data. And then with your platform, Profina, you would then be able to let people control that, like kind of like a passport or a vault, and then you could plug that into these maybe platforms to then get recommendations or help, or like you said, assistance with making a purchase, making travel plans, doing search history, right? Is that, I think that's
Yeah,
I'm just trying
exactly.
to make it as simple as possible for some people, myself
Yeah,
included.
yeah, exactly. So that's the idea, is that because now when we go to Amazon or we go to Facebook or anywhere, we are there like, very vulnerable individuals, like without any machine algorithms behind us. We are just, us as individuals with our keyboards and, our eyeballs looking at, content. But when there can be someone on the individual side, we can give
Yeah,
individuals
like
power of AI, we can give them power of anonymity,
yeah,
we can give them all that power on that side as well. And then we can put the algorithms to, have a conversation between each other of what information should raise to us to actually look at. So that's a very different game, because there's algorithms on the other side, but there's nothing on our side. And that's a big thing. It's not only the data, but it's also all the machine power that can help, negotiate on your behalf with your control. What do you actually want to see or don't want to see?
got it. Yeah, I like that. It's gonna stick with me. It's like you must have seen the movie Social Dilemma. It's like a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's I'm sure that's really relevant to this discussion. It's basically, I like it when they show, at least I think it's the Social Dilemma, but there was some documentary I saw, I think there's a couple others too, where it's actually the AI is behind the screen, and it's like it's reading everything you do, and it's kind of like it's you versus them, right? They're reading everything you do, and then they have all this data, but you're saying you're trying to help enable the individual to fight back or to defend themselves or protect themselves.
Yeah, and it can only happen that there is a service on the individual side, like that. That's the big point, that first, you as an individual, you can collect all your data. You can also add richer data, like your own opinions, whatever you want, but you can keep that to yourself, never having to expose that data externally, because there can be service in between that only knows the data model, not the data itself. And that's really the key thing of making totally new types of approaches possible. And for us, it's always the individual is the primary user, primary customer. Every business comes second, so that's very different. Our mission is to be on the individual side, and that way it really becomes a consumer service. And then the other side is, of course, developers, like those who can then build new type of interactions, new types of algorithms, new types of applications for those individuals, and where individuals choose which ones do they want to use, like you would in any app store or any marketplace. I want to use this type of helper, I want to use this type of thing. And also those application developers, they never see the data. They only need the model of what data is available, and then they can build the application. The application itself cannot send any data out, because the app actually runs in the personal cloud of the individual.
Wow. Okay. We have a good question from Yelena. Yelena is asking about differences in data management, control, and algorithms in the EU and versus the US.
Yeah. So, what is the specific question? Just to make sure
I mean, she typed it in, and maybe we can even pull her up here. I think we'll have some time for those to come up on the stage, but I think maybe it's a little bit general, just generally. I mean, I know GDPR is more of a European initiative. At least my assumption is Europe's much stricter about data privacy and data control than in the US, and even but Elena, it's just, yeah, how is implementing in US and EU, like with Profino, with your current venture and what you've maybe seen. You're European, and you with San Francisco in the US. Is there just differences? Like, is it a culture thing, a government thing, or I mean, it's probably a mix of everything? The user behavior. She's saying also bottlenecks, legal.
All right. Yeah. So basically, I would say this whole momentum have started from things leading to the GDPR regulation coming to life, but it's not the only thing. It's, of course, those documentaries of how data is used. It's those comments that we are not customers on Facebook platforms, but we are the products being sold. And it's like many things. There are momentums from individuals' side that have eventually led the regulators to look at that, hey, as an EU, they also needed to find their own competitive angle for the whole internet, like what play is there for Europe to play. So that's a smart economic move as well, while at the same time making it a European style. But what that initiated is that in US it goes state by state, and then there's different of laws in the national level. But what is significant is the California CCPA regulation that is very much the same as GDPR in Europe that came to effect, and that's really powerful. But it's also spreading in Japan. It's same regulation is spreading in Brazil, in Canada. So, but those are less known anymore because it becomes more of a norm or a direction where that regulation goes. Then those others are less known, even if they are progressing there as well.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. I brought her on stage, so Elena's here. If she
Hi,
wants to.
hi everyone.
Hi,
Yeah,
you
I
can turn
can't
video
get
on.
my
And
camera
Catherine's
to
here.
work.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah,
hello.
basically, we had a discussion because I work here with big telco brands like Deutsche Telekom and Telefonica and these guys. So there was a discussion, a couple of years back. Nobody was really quantifying or attempting to critically defined algorithms and AI and the usage of data. But, since 2 years ago, they stepped back a bit, and now, they're discussing, what's the future of all these technologies and how it will impact society. So is it good, is it bad? And these discussions are going on. So that's...
Yeah, so...
I think from a mentality point of view, like China is going all in on these technologies. US, I'm not sure, but Europe is being a bit cautious in this, applying these technologies and data and AIs.
Yelena, when you say China's all in, like on what technology you're referring to? AI or
specifically AI? Yeah,
every technology.
Yeah.
Is it AI?
The new technologies, yeah, AI mostly.
Okay, wow. Okay, so how they compare to? I understand AI is quite advanced in the US and Europe as well. Do you know how different they are in terms of their focus?
So I guess in general, it's not so much about specific technologies. I think every single country wants to run as fast as they possibly can with AI. What AI is limited is the available data. The AI works poorly with poor data. So it's directly connected to the more data you have, the better your AI will be. The more accurate it is, the more higher the quality of the AI is. So the battle to win in AI is actually not in the technology of AI. It's access to data and access to volume and quality data. So that's why AI is held back by those who don't have access to much of data.
Okay.
And the question is more specific when it comes to personal data. Then the question is who have access to personal data, and of course we can think that China is at its totally own level of access to personal data compared to any other market. So that tells something about human-centric services in the future, whatever we want to think about those. But these are just like technological facts, what leads to what, and that's basically the European way, and also this, I would say, Western market way seems to be developing that the only way to unlock that similar level of personal data to new innovation is actually to be able to individuals to take it out from these massive platforms, because they would otherwise not give it for free. Like there's no financial benefit for Google to give all of your data out for free that they spend, a lot of time collecting. So through this regulation, they actually are competing to making a lot of personal data available to be able to create new types of innovation and better services.
You're saying all these companies who previously collected all these data, they are now need to some way to provide to the public or whichever organization want access to it?
Yes, as a European citizen, also for services outside of Europe, you can just send, hey, give me my data, and they have to comply within 30 days and send your data in machine readable format. There's no exceptions or you will get penalized. The same applies in California with CCPA. As a California citizen, you can say any company, public service office as well, criminal offenses, type of records excluded, that you can say, hey, give me my data. And there's actually the first set of giving this data is very expensive to these companies. There's a research done that an average request at global level today for one individual to ask their data cost more than $1,000 per request. So it's not something cheap. So you can make 10 requests and create 10 grand worth of economic value and jobs to the world by just asking your data
for free. So me as a person, I can request my data for free because it belongs to me, right?
from anyone, any company, public services included. Right. As a Californian or European citizen, but these regulations are also increasing elsewhere.
So
as a business owner.
Yeah, I mean, Zach had some chat. I don't know if you want to say it here, but as a marketer, what are your thoughts?
I think all this stuff really just creates everything to be more of a pain in the ass than it should be. The fact that we have 8 million different data laws, if we have to sell to California, we can't treat it like the United States. It's a different thing, and everywhere is going to have their own patchwork of stuff. And now everyone has like a global business, and a lot of us have pretty small teams. You can have 10 people and have a multi-million-dollar business, but the regulation, because everyone has these new ideas about approaching all this stuff, makes it just a pain in the ass. Now I need to worry about data regulation in Albania or Sweden or California. And it's just I just want to make money. Why am I having to care about this stuff? I also, as an advertiser, I'm typically not, when you buy ads with Google or when you buy ads with Facebook, it's not like I'm buying one individual person's stuff. I can't target one individual person. I'm saying show it to people like this. There's already that step in between, and that's why I like Facebook to have the data, because I don't want to have to deal with, collecting this much data on each individual person. We've seen a lot of advertising become less effective when Safari and Google Chrome are implementing all their pixel blocking technology. But what is this ending up with? It's ending up with, I think 20 years ago or something, we're watching TV and the ads are just stupid. We all watch the ads and we hate the commercials. Now, I like my ads on Facebook because I use them for research and they show me stuff I'm actually interested in. And that's because they have the data. It prevents me from looking at a lot of stuff I don't want to look at. It's going to show me things I actually want. When I'm watching YouTube on my TV, I'm not signed in. They don't have that data about me. So the ads are really stupid. Okay, the ads are just all this Thai grocery store kind of stuff and stuff like this. I'm not interested. I like these kind of things to have my data because they do provide better services, better ads, better engagement, and it makes it better for me as a user. I don't want Facebook to write me a $12 check every year. I'd rather just, go with it. So I don't see too much of an issue giving away my data to Google and Facebook. And some of it's really cool. Google and Facebook have a history, my location history going back to 2007. It's amazing. On any day, I can go back and I can see exactly where I was, all the places I went to, the routes I took, and it's amazing. I used to actually use this to prove or remember, did I do consulting at a certain company on a certain day? Because I forgot, I didn't take a record, and I would just open up my Facebook location history, see where I was, and be like, oh, I was there on this day.
But I think the difference, though, Valto, that's not going to go away, right? I think what the point is you have it's on your control, not Facebook's control. So you would let them maybe have it, or
if it's like such a patchwork kind of thing, if it's not something that everyone is doing, only certain types of people are going to share that data. It's going to make it more rough and more patchwork. I want things to move towards more of a unified experience across
I'm on the other side, because the problem is only is Facebook and Google, and they're only going to get bigger and more powerful, and they're going to use your data against you, and they're not going to let startups. We can't get access to the data as a startup, right, Valto? So I think what we're trying to do is take the power away from these huge internet monopolies and use this data back to ourselves, and let us plug this data to who we want, and let it I think that, like, maybe there's going to be a new Amazon that comes out, and we can just plug our data into this new Amazon, and then maybe even take our old Amazon data. And I'm more like, that's kind of because these guys are just using it against us, right? The big guys are just using our data against us, right? Maybe we let Valto.
Well, I think also like oversharing. Like, if we take all of our Amazon purchase history and we just give it to this new company, like, I also wouldn't want to do that. I want Amazon to have that data because I bought the stuff on Amazon. They can have the data because I bought it there. I don't want to share it with some other random company, everything I bought. Like, I want the people I engaged with to have the data, and the people that didn't provide me stuff, I don't really want to give them that.
Okay. So let Valto. There's a lot there.
So basically, what we are saying is that there's limitations for this current model where it can evolve. It's pretty much achieved its peak. It cannot get better than what it is today without some drastic change in the architecture and approach. Facebook doesn't have Google data, and they will never get it. About you. Amazon never has Facebook data, but you as an individual, you can have your Facebook data, Google data, LinkedIn data, Amazon data, combine those all together, add some health data, and new types of applications and solutions and services can be built on top of that. But to make possible, there needs to be services like what we are building, and I'm not saying we would be the only one, that basically make that standardizing of that data availability, interfaces to interconnect to that data in the volumes, so that it doesn't work if it's, you have to target one individual. But there's a difference between having personal data separate and the data model, how that data is stored in every one of those clouds where that data exists, and interfaces to connect to that and access to that. And it should not be us or anyone else who decides who gets access. It's each individual themselves basically accepting, do I accept this company's services? Do I want them to have access to, anonymized profile of myself? Do I want them to have access to this or that? But that's exactly where new services are needed, that someone has to make it technically feasible for this new architecture to work. And that's exactly what we are building, is to make all this work. But it doesn't get any better than today when you get ads on products that you have already bought. Those cannot be fixed unless there's better data.
I understand what you're trying to build now. You're almost like collecting all the different systems and platforms and information on us, and we take those information back to individual, and we own that data.
Yes.
And we have control over who we share those information with, and what amount and how, to the degree, depending on the organization we're dealing with. Right.
Yes.
So therefore, it's a reversed control or ownership of our own personal data, which previously always.
Exactly. So the point is that there should not be Facebook making decisions on what of your data is even accessible or available to others. It should be yourself. It should be just made technically possible, and then you just let that happen or you don't let that happen. But it should not, because Facebook, Apple, Google, all of those big guys limit what they want other companies to be able to build competing products for their own products.
Yeah, and so when we share these data with those individual companies, do we charge a fee for it, or we give them for free?
Yeah, exactly, and that's a thing where, you know, now we all have free apps, paid apps that we download for our phones, for our computers, and so forth. So we are paying for apps and services, and then there are free services where we know that we are being, you know, used, and our data is basically the paying currency. But also, like, Facebook doesn't really develop services for individuals. They have very limited services what they provide for us individuals. For example, how much they use that data to make better services for us. There's, you know, hundreds of new applications that could be built on top of Facebook data alone, just showing my friends on a map, or, you know, whatever that may be, you know, better search. The search in Facebook is like ridiculous. Whatever you're trying to search, and they don't care about those. They just want your eyeballs on the feed.
That's true.
And the thing is that's potential innovation for making many different things, but that doesn't work unless there's someone basically creating the infrastructure around how to make that happen.
So each of these services probably has literally billions of different data points on any individual person. Like I said, every single place I've been every minute since 2007. And that's just Facebook, let alone every moment I've looked at anything over the last 13 years. How are you going to work with any of these things to have the right set of data without it being, you know, terabytes per person? What type of data are you actually going to manage, and what kind of data could people not plug into your system? Because if you're going to log every data point or every, you know, like I've ever done on Facebook or something, this is not very feasible for each person. Or are you going to just have a basic profile of someone, like their name, their address, basic, you know, basic type of information? What kind of data models are you planning to build for each of these people?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So basically, this is as anyone can imagine, that it's, if we're talking about individuals and all types of different individuals, all aspects of lives, that it is extremely extensive. But basically, you can take anyone's iPhone and you can see that, you know, that's the model how computers work today. That's the model how phones work today. That there's just different applications for different purposes. So we are only focusing on basically creating that architecture that enables individuals to bring their data, and over the time we will iterate that data model to include more and more data points. But for example, we are not the ones going to build those applications on top of that. We only create the infrastructure to connect with.
Right now, if I say I'm going to bring my data to your platform, what data do you get?
So currently we are currently we are looking mostly those data where the data is by design targeted for your own use, like the health data. So Fitbits and you know, things like Aura that tracks your sleep and these types of things, where your current interaction with the application is private by design. So that's a good starting point, because they have good APIs to connect with the your side of data. Then we are separately looking at these big platforms, of course, because they have massive user bases, and the GPS data, so location data from Google, is one of the things. We don't need to look at all of their data at the same time, just these most interesting things. And location data by Google is probably the best in the world that exists in the free market about the location data. And it's also like, it has challenges, like your GPS data, if you expose it openly, anyone can see where you live. It's not a secret, it's where you spend your nights. So it's just like you have to have someone helping you to figure out, like, what is safe and what is not safe, and what do you want to share and with whom. But I don't think that those platforms really care, other than Apple, who has now started to take that as their competitive edge. But Apple actually don't, they limit the data collection, and it's not even possible to get some benefits in the future on Apple, because basically they don't have the data. So because of their history, they never went into this social network game. They never got foothold there. They never really figured the internet properly. So basically that's where it's easy for them to say, hey, we don't care about this data because we never figured out how to make business out of it.
Mm.
So then what's leading me to, I have a few questions relating to that, because now you're taking the data from the big giants like Google and Facebooks. So they become the source of your personal data, and your platform is like a repository for them to, store that information. And then I share those information with other provider who potentially want to build an app or use my personal interacting with me. Does then require constant updates from, say, Facebook and Google? And then the second question is, as there are more and more apps keep on building, new apps, new generation apps coming out, what if, one day Google and Facebook are no longer in the dominant position as they were previously, then would you then change your source of whatever to provide that information? How would you work with that?
So basically here, one important point is that we are not going to be ourselves, like we are not going to be the platform who owns your data or controls that. We control access to your data. So we don't control it in that sense that every individual actually have their own personal cloud where we only provide the standardization so that the data can be connected in a smart way. So even if someone would, for example, stop using our service, they would still have their cloud and their data in there in a standard format to take it somewhere else. So that's very important. Also, no two individuals' data are in the same database, so they are totally separate from each other. Again, it's just the architecture consideration. And then when it comes to a lot of these data sources and applications on top of that, that's where we build a developer community around us. Is that those who say, hey, I'm interested in these data sources, I would like to have this data from the tools. Those are the ones that then build, solutions and applications and interfaces on top of that, because our focus is on the individual side to basically run this architecture where these types of solutions can then be built on top of that. So we are counting on with something that totally not us, no single company in the world can do things alone without, massive movement of individuals and developers and media and those who basically are now crushed by these bigger platforms. That there's, regulators who want to change, there's individuals who want to change, there's developers who want to change. So it's just, of course, it doesn't happen if no one is willing to do anything on top of that. But architecture can start and evolve and look from the eyes of the individual, how they can make sense of this all, how they can, make those decisions about the control and so forth.
Okay, and then my next question is, how would you handle the security aspect of that platform? Because it stores a lot of information. Previously, if I'm a hacker, I need to go to a very different platform to collect one person's information. I just need to do it once. I get everything.
Yeah, so the most important thing, like there are architectural considerations, like the separation of each individual data, that they are never in the one place. So there's no one place to hack to get access to everyone's data. So everyone's data is in their own cloud, and basically that's you have to hack each of those clouds separately. And then the other thing is, of course, we all know that the individuals themselves are the weakest point, their passwords, and that's the next level is controlling, like we have making sure there's two-factor authentications and things where are a bit annoying from the UX perspective, but very important from the security perspective. And then finally comes all the best practices of hashing the data, what is available there, that it's not human readable when computer access to it, or how to prevent this type of algorithm or type of attacks that things get locked by if there's unhuman-like behavior, like 100 requests for some specific places, and many other things that go into that question.
Awesome. This has been. Thanks for the. Yeah, and the website's great. It's Profina. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I pronounce Profina, PRIFINA.com, and
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we're learning. I mean, everybody's been asking great questions here. Catherine and Zach, Elena, and Zach saying some funny things in the chat. But so you must be raising money. I mean, it's a humongous, like, I think Catherine helped us understand it's a huge project, Zach, collecting all this data, managing this data, allowing the user to control. So what's the current stage? And you're in your venture, and I think you guys are growing and raising.
Yeah, so definitely, like as I mentioned, that this is a big thing. This is not one of those, oh, there's a cool app type of a venture. This is a humongous undertaking that we are doing, and we are fully aware of it. We've been already in this journey for several years, doing all the architecture, background development, and so forth. So like we need many things along the way. We have had hundreds of developers already taking part, many of them volunteering to make this happen with us. But when it comes to investors, we of course, I don't think there's a business in the world who wants to grow that doesn't want to have dialogue with investors. But most important for us when it comes to the investors is that they actually see this vision and that their kind of mind is aligned with that type of direction. Understand? So we have existing onboarding, those who are already on board, but there's also a lot of opportunity for even to invest in those applications that run on top of that. So there's a huge amount of opportunity also for investors in this whole field, and we are happy to have dialogue with anyone who sees that the architectures cannot evolve further with this current platform-centric model. And yeah, that's where we are with that track.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Valto. It's been great. I mean, I really appreciate you. I felt like we grilled you, and Zach seems like he's requesting his Spotify data now from Spotify. But yeah, I guess I realized that. I mean, I requested my Facebook data lately, and they have to do it, right? So, and then you're trying to help people do what to do with that data, right? And then help them access this data. So I really wish you the best. This has been a fascinating conversation, and so the best way to find you is the website, or what's some ways people can find you?
Yeah, I think I mean, easiest is to find me on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/in/Valto.
Yeah, you got the good.
I'm readily available there, and then anyone interested in any aspect of deeper insights of Profina from any aspect, building new applications on top of that, volunteering on advancing whichever angle is needed to be figured out in this field. We're very much building an open source community around evolving that data model forward. So there's a lot to get involved, and anyone who just don't accept the current reality as the end game of the internet, we're happy to look also those who want to make bets on the future and be on the board when the big wave of this starts to raise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of us, even on this call, we feel like we have to give the data to these guys. They have to own and control it. But I mean, I know individuals are not so responsible for our data, but I think we should have the option. And I'm really excited what you're doing, and I hope people, definitely, you're very accessible on LinkedIn, and you're always really also contributing a lot. I think for today and others in the community. So I really thank you for that, Valto, and we are appreciating you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sure. I think we're going to wrap up. We're on a back-to-back today on Singles Day, so we have another session. All right. So thank everybody. We're gonna end this session, and then we're gonna start another one in a few minutes. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Valto.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye.